What's up, everybody? Puck Mike here, back with another video, and back with episode 2 of Pens Talk with Puck Mike, a Pittsburgh Penguins podcast from a lifelong fan. Whether you're bleeding black and gold or just trying to make sense of the season, you are in the right place. And you can check out the blog, brand new blog, out at penstalkwithpuckmike.com. Got my very first blog post up there. Check it out. That's penstalkwithpuckmike.com. Let's talk some Pens. So on today's show, we're going to talk about the current state of the coaching search, Mike Sullivan billboard that I think is very interesting. We'll touch a little bit on draft, free agency, summer trades, and we'll have our question of the day. So yeah, right now as I record this, it's May 31st, Saturday, May 31st, and the Penguins still do not have a coach. I'm going to keep refreshing as we speak to see if that changes, because in Kyle Dubas's not in his season-ending press conference, in his Mike Sullivan firing press conference, he said that he had hoped to have somebody in place by early June. I think he just said early June. I don't think he said by June 1st we are going to have somebody. So early June is tomorrow. I think we'll know by the end of the weekend, or I think we'll know by Wednesday of next week. I think what held it up a little bit was, Kyle Dubas was the GM of Team Canada for the IIHF World Championship. But also there's just a lot of dominoes, I think, that are kind of other teams are waiting to have fall. I mean, these coaches are not just interviewing for one team, so they got to interview for the other teams as well, and work with their timelines too. So the first domino kind of fell with Seattle naming their head coach. So I think, what do we got left? Boston, Pittsburgh. What's the other team? I'm drawing a blank. I know Boston, Pittsburgh are the two big ones kind of in there right now. So, candidates, Mitch Love, I think 2 years as the assistant coach under Spencer Carberry in Washington, did pretty well. The word on the street is he's kind of the top candidate, or the most well-liked. Word is that he's interviewed very well. We have DJ Smith, who guided the Ottawa Senators through their rebuild, which you could say they're kind of coming out of that, I guess, now. And Jay Woodcroft, his name is in there. I wouldn't bet money that he's going to be chosen. There's another player that I heard on Elliot Friedman's podcast, or another coach. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but I also that's just what we've heard. Kyle Dubas is very tight-lipped when it comes to this stuff, and it comes to anything, which I very much respect and appreciate. So I'm also not going to say I'm not going to be surprised if we get to next Tuesday and it's somebody we've never heard of. So, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is that the coach is going to be brought in to guide the direction of the team right now, which is they're rebuilding. I mean, they're rebuilding. He's not going to come out and say we're rebuilding, because everybody thinks that rebuilding means you have to suck for 10 years and sell off you have to trade Sidney Crosby. I don't know why people still think that. I don't know why. That's actually what I talked about in my first blog post, again at penstalkwithpuckmike.com. I don't understand why people have to think that that's what you have to do to rebuild. Before the salary cap era, yes, but you don't have to do that anymore. But that's what they're doing. They're rebuilding and transitioning, retooling, whatever. So the next coach has to be okay with that. It's a tough job, because you want to say we're still here to win with Sidney Crosby, but really what you're doing is you're rebuilding and hoping that you don't lose too bad in the process. And that is the part where that's your commitment to Crosby, that you're not going to completely tank. And look, the Pens, this year was 10 points out, but what was it last year? 2 points out, and the year before that, another 2 points? I mean, they barely missed the playoffs. Doesn't mean hey, they're close to being contenders, because they're definitely not. But, I mean, the league is very close. I don't want to say on any given night, or really any given season, a team can can be in the mix, but things can turn around pretty quick. So I don't expect the Penguins to really be like making the playoffs next year. They might even be worse next year than they were this year. But I think very, very certain that the next coach is going to prioritize, which is the opposite of what Mike Sullivan did, which was prioritize the development, showcase and development of the young players in the future, which includes letting them play through some mistakes, not benching them every time they look the wrong way, and not putting them on the fourth line every time they're called up and saying, my God, why does this person not contribute? So yeah, I'm excited to see kind of how that all plays out with the next coach. It's going to be a tough job with the veterans that are still there. So yeah, we'll have news on that hopefully next week. Next up, I thought this was so interesting. So I thought it was, I'm probably just reading more into it than there actually is. I don't know. I talked to some people about it and they said, well, it's pretty common. It's not that big of a deal. Mike Sullivan, when he was fired, which he was, there was no mutual parting of ways. The guy was fired. We know that because in his season-ending press conference, he said, I'm going to be the coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. End of story. And then Kyle Dubas was like, oh, yeah, if he wants to come back, blah, blah, blah. Kyle was like, I don't really know here. And then it was like, hey, you're actually fired. And then in Kyle's press conference, it was clear he was thinking about this for a while. He even said that he was something he thought about throughout the season, thought it was time. But, Mike Sullivan didn't come out on his press conference with the New York Rangers and say, I think he touched on it very, very briefly, but he's not going to come out. And New York fans don't want him to, which I get. He's not going to come out and be like, first of all, I just want to say that Sidney Crosby, the time I spent with Sidney Crosby, one of the greatest players, they don't want to hear that crap. They're like, you're here for the Rangers. We're the greatest team. We're going to win the Stanley Cup next year. So I get that he didn't really address it then. I thought he would just make some kind of statement. He takes out a billboard in Pittsburgh, thank you, Pittsburgh. Cup family is forever. Stanley Cup family is forever. Again, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I'm kind of like, is this your way of like getting back at Dubas for firing you is this your way of getting back at it without you being able to leave amicably or like, I don't, or on good terms, so to speak? I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I also just think it's kind of weird, right? Like, or he didn't want the Rangers fans to see that, so that's why he took out the billboards in Pittsburgh, but you knew it was probably going to be covered. But then again, I don't know if New York media is covering it. Probably reading too much into it. I also still just think it's kind of weird, though. But if you're in the Pittsburgh area, check out the billboard, I guess. So coming up here, we have the draft. Let's actually check that out. When is the draft? NHL draft 2025. I think it's the 27th, 28th. Okay, you have to actually type in when is the NHL draft? Yeah, 27th, 28th is the draft. They are holding it at a central location in Los Angeles, I believe, this year. But the owners opted to have them participate virtually in their own environments versus when they came to Nashville, which was, I went to that one, 2023, was it? That wasn't last year, I don't believe. Or was it last year? No, I think it was 2023. Everybody comes from all over. They sit in one big room, and it is kind of pointless, to be honest. So I'm kind of, now, here's what I'm worried about, though. I'm worried about it's going to be this, they're going to have all these coaches and everything in their own, like, epicenters of Draft Central in their own, but they're just going to be like chilling in some lounge area. It's not going to be if they make each center kind of exciting, they show them working in this little conference room and it's a little bit branded with each team, then this is kind of exciting. But if they're just sitting there like they don't give a, I don't know. I mean, it's not the NFL draft, because it doesn't have the same popularity, but I still think it's exciting. Anyway, that's June 27th. And then, I think free agency opens July 1st? Let's see. Free agency. Yeah, July 1st. That's UFAs, and then I can't remember the RFAs. There's time for offer sheets and all that fun stuff. And then of course we got trades. I think, and I'm not going to get into yet. I'm not going to get into all of the we'll do a draft rankings, probably video and potential trades and those things like that. But I do think we'll see before the draft. I think right now Kyle Dubas's focus is the coach. I think before the draft we'll see a potential trade. I think he's going to try to trade Erik Karlsson. I do. I don't think. I think he might be successful. But I also, again, everybody's like, oh, everybody's not evaluating every single thing that Kyle Dubas does since he came in that first summer, and since ownership told him, let's give it one more go. He signed all those players. It didn't work, and they said, okay, let's change course. Every single thing that he does is based on that second plan. When we tried to give it one more run for the billionth year, didn't work, and everything he does now is based on we're going to rebuild and stay focused on that. So, excuse me. The reality is he doesn't have to trade Erik Karlsson. He doesn't necessarily need that cap space because we're not going to go out and make a huge signing. We're not going to sign Mitch Marner. It's not going to happen this year. We're going to make some signings, improve some defense, I think. There's young guys out there, again, that fit the mold of helping us through this transition. Younger, 25, 26. He's probably going to be in on those, probably closer to 23, 24. He's going to be in on some of those, but he's not signing people to $12 million contracts. He's just not doing that at this phase. So if that never happens, though, he also, we have more prospects now, and we have more picks, and we're going to leverage some of those to get younger players. So Kyle Dubas is not in a desperate spot where he has to trade Erik Karlsson. So I think he's going to try, but he's not going to sacrifice, again, what the goal is, which is to leverage the assets that we now acquired in such a short time that he worked so hard for, which is the draft picks and some of the younger players. And he's not just going to trade all that away. So really, it's kind of like on Karlsson. He wants to win, right? But, his in Kyle Dubas's ending press conference for this end of season press conference, he said, his actions need to match his words. And it's like, dude, if you want to win, then, we gave it one more go. It didn't work. You're kind of here now. We're rebuilding. Do you want to go somewhere else? You got to approve a trade to where we have this trade worked out. And so, I think he's going to try. I don't think he's going to necessarily be successful just because it's a bigger contract, unless he's going to retain some salary, which he might. But we'll see. I think we'll see more non-re-signings than we will trades when it comes to leading up to like the draft. We'll probably see some more after the draft once things kind of shake out and people see like what their pipeline looks like and get through the first round of free agency and stuff. But I think we'll see a little bit more trades then too. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We'll be following it, of course. Probably do a separate video just on the draft itself and free agency and looking at whose contract is up and all of those fun things. Okay, next up, the last thing here is our question of the day. And if you would like to submit a question to have your question featured for the question of the day, go ahead and comment on one of the videos, ask your question, and it will be featured in one of the videos. Today's question of the day: will Sergei Murashov make the team next year? If you were going to ask me to answer very quickly without really thinking or elaborating on it, I would say no, he's not going to make the team next year. But I will give a caveat there that is not based on an evaluation of talent. I think that Sergei Murashov probably could make the team from a talent standpoint. Can't do any worse than Jari. Everybody's like, oh, Jari came back from them, and he was stellar. It's the best hockey I've ever seen him play. I'm like, first of all, I don't really think that's true. Maybe for him, but even that, I don't think that's true. I think he's played better when he made it the All-Star team. That those couple years that he made the All-Star team. But whatever. But I think Murashov could from a skill talent standpoint. But again, goes back to what is the goal? The goal right now is to focus on rebuilding and getting the team back to contention, as Kyle Dubas is not just squeak into the playoffs, getting back to contention. So what's best for Sergei Murashov, probably, he came over, he did the ECHL mainly for a year. I think he probably could have, really what I think could have happened is we didn't re-sign Nedeljkovic. I don't really know why we did that. And he's great. Okay, I like Nedeljkovic. He's just a backup. We used him too much. Really, I think we could have got away with not signing him, letting Larson ride. That Philip Larson is not going to be one of our top prospects. He's probably going to go and get traded. I don't understand why we didn't just kind of slide him into the backup role, and he probably would have done better than Jari when Jari had to go by the wayside. That would have created a little bit of space. I understand bringing Morishov over and letting him marinate in the ECHL a little bit, but halfway through the season, he should have been the top dog in Wilkes, in my opinion, because now we're in a position where it's like, okay, now he needs a full year under his belt in Wilkes before he's going to come up to the AHL. Again, it doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter. They're not going to be good this year. I mean, he could be Igor Shesterkin right now, which he may well end up being, but it doesn't matter. They are in a rebuilding mode. They're not a contending team. It has nothing to do with the fact that the goaltending stinks. It has everything to do with the fact that the goaltending stinks. The defense stinks. They cannot hold a lead to save their life. They give up all. So you see what I mean? It's not just the goaltending, but I would say no, he does not make the team. Unless we don't know what's going to happen with the new coach. We don't know. And we don't know how serious we're going to get about this, showcase the development of the young players and let that be, not even showcase, but like let the development of the players and the what's best for them be the forefront of every single thing that we do, because they're going to get us back to contention when they mature. Unless they determine that that's Sergei Morishov needs the time in the NHL and he's ready for it, then so be it. But the team's probably going to stink. Even if he's ready, you don't want him to play on a team that sucks, like completely, right? I think you do it one more year in the AHL. You let him be the top guy in the AHL. I'd still get rid of one at the NHL level if I could. I'd get rid of Ned or Jari, because I think Larson could slide in there too, and he could be a trade chip too. I mean, I'd still let one of them slide in there. I would be surprised if even Ned gets traded this offseason, if there's a market for a backup goalie. But I would say, though, he probably doesn't make the team. I think they let him marinate some more. And now, who knows, 2026, 27, it's a whole different ballgame. I mean, we don't know how this year's going to go. We don't know what prospects we're going to get, how they're all going to mature. We just don't know. I think looking back at the last year, Cal Dubas did, I think, a lot of good restocking the pool in such a short time that I'm kind of excited to see kind of where things go in the next year, because I'm excited to see what else is going to be different. What other trades we're going to make, what other signings we're going to make, what people we're going to draft this year, and who knows? Maybe we'll be in the running for Gavin McKenna in the 2026 draft. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't the hockey gods just love the Pittsburgh Penguins even more if they gave them Gavin McKenna in addition to Sidney Crosby and Mario Lemieux? And wouldn't everybody else hate the Penguins even more? Which is probably why they're not listening to this podcast. But you are. So thank you so much for listening to Pens Talk with Puck Mike. I really appreciate everyone's support. Again, check out the blog, penstalkwithpuckmike.com. Got the very first blog post up there, and probably by the next episode 3, we will have a new coach that we'll probably be talking about, and it will be very exciting. So thank you everyone so much for watching as always, and I'll check you later.